I used to ride my bicycle at 7 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden my grandchildren were saying, "Hey, can I ride with you, Grandpa?" And I said, "At 7 o'clock in the morning, you want to ride a bike?" "Yeah, we want to go with you." That resulted in years on vacation of spending time around a table at Baytown talking about the concept of how we see God and how God interacts. And this was an opportunity to, yes, mentor my grandchildren. Well, my name is Bob Snelling. I've been a member here in Douglasville, believe it or not, for about 45 years. And a lot of changes have happened in my life over those 45 years, because one of the things that happened in this congregation now many years ago as I came to Christ here, but the changes that have occurred more recently is I've had 3 different opportunities to retire in the last 15 years, and I have taken advantage of all 3 of those. I found out from my daughter that we would have this 20-minute discussion, go back to vacation, and all of a sudden the kids would be together for 2 more hours engaged in conversation that I didn't even know about, that was all precipitated by talking about how God is at work in the world. They would continue that over their games in the other vacation units. So I learned that I do have something valuable to offer in spite of my age. As I look at what is happening in culture and see that we in the church, many of us have really been trained wrong. I think I had a potential for being trained wrong, that somehow or other after the age of 65 we have nothing to offer, that we just go find a way to vegetate and stay out of the mainstream, where I am feeling this burden for the future of the church. Fewer and fewer people in the United States are actively in church right now. Everybody's spiritual, but nobody can articulate what that means. But in the meantime, church attendance is waning and waning, and truthfully, part of the reason for that is we have been, even as church people, trained that somehow or other what we do up here on a Sunday morning or on a Wednesday night has no relevance to the rest of the week. But I know that we are to be missional people. Every time we have an encounter in a checkout line at Walmart, or with somebody checking us into a medical office, or walking down the street making eye contact with somebody, we are to be agents of the gospel of Jesus Christ and put that forth in ways that maybe we don't say it in words, but we are called to do that in action everywhere we are at all times. And it's much more important that we realize that when we do this not on the church property. My new understanding of being missional is that not all of us are called to be mentors. Not all of us are called to study to be able to articulate our faith more deeply. But being missional means the old cliche that I've heard is to bloom where you're planted. You can go to the Good Samaritan Center and spend 3 hours a week interfacing with people who have desperate needs. We have people who go on Haiti mission trips. I've not been on one, so I don't know what happens there, but they build houses. Building houses for poor people lives out the gospel. I've got a good friend of mine, in fact 2 friends of mine, they're in a ministry where they train dogs to go out and find people who are lost. They don't talk about their faith much, I presume, but they go out and do something good to restore the culture based on their giftedness. So is it possible that you would pray and say, hey, rather than kind of giving up on ministry, spend a week in prayer and say, Lord, what would you have me do? What in my background, what in my experience would allow me a newfound ministry, not in word perhaps, but in deed, where I can minister to a culture that is very, very broken. And of course, I'm a strong believer that part of that ought to be engaged in having relationships with people who are not inside the church. So, folks, the challenge is this. Don't respond to the wrong teaching that you are of no value if you're over 50 or if you're over 60. The Bible doesn't teach about retirement. The Bible teaches about mission. And I hope that you would join me with some kind of an attitude that I'm not going to be useless to the gospel until I can't move anymore.